All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to break down a really insightful McKinsey analysis that looks at what happens when agentic AI hits the real world. It's been a year of crazy hype and tons of experiments. So, what have we really learned? The promise was huge, right? Unmatched productivity, game-changing efficiency. And yeah, some companies are seeing some wins. But for a lot of them, it's a real struggle. They're finding it's way harder than it looks to get actual value. And get this, some have even had to hire people back after their AI agent projects failed. So what's the deal? And this quote, this is basically the key to the whole thing. The biggest mistake people are making is treating these incredibly powerful new systems like they're just another app you install. To really succeed, you have to totally flip that mindset. You've got to start treating your AI agents like new members of your team. So let's break it down. We're going to walk through 6 essential lessons learned from over 50 real-world projects. We'll start with the promise, then dive into why workflow is everything, how to pick the right tool for the job, how to build trust, scale smart, and of course, where we humans fit into this new world. Okay, first things first. Before we go any further, let's just make sure we're all on the same page. What is agentic AI anyway?
Yeah, this is way beyond your typical chatbot. We're talking about a system that you can give a complex goal to and it just, well, figures it out. It breaks the problem down into steps, grabs the tools it needs, and sees the whole thing through from start to finish. You can really think of them as digital coworkers.
Okay, lesson number 1. And honestly, this is a huge pitfall. Companies get so mesmerized by the shiny new AI toy that they forget what it's even for. They focus all their energy on building this cool agent, and it ends up not fitting into how work actually gets done. So here's what you've got to do instead. You have to start with the workflow. Map out the entire process as it exists today. Find out where your team is actually struggling. What are the real pain points? Then you figure out how an agent can come in and act as an orchestrator, or maybe the glue that connects all the pieces, the people, the processes, and the tech. Now, this next lesson is pretty interesting because it kind of goes against the hype. Just because you can throw an AI agent at a problem doesn't always mean you should. I mean, you wouldn't hire a brilliant creative strategist to do data entry, right? It's the same idea here. You have to look at the type of work. Is it super repetitive, predictable, tightly controlled, low variance stuff like filling out regulatory forms? Honestly, a simpler old-school automation might be better. It's more reliable and less of a headache. But for the messy, high-variance work, the stuff that needs judgment calls and creative thinking, like a deep financial analysis, that is where these agents are absolute game changers. And that leads us perfectly into lesson 3. This one is all about tackling the number one reason these projects often fall flat with the actual people who have to use them. You hear this term floating around, AI slop, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's when the agent just pumps out garbage. Low quality, unreliable, sometimes just factually wrong outputs. And when that happens, poof, trust is gone. And all that time you were supposed to save is now spent cleaning up the AI's mess. So how do you fix it? Well, it brings us right back to that core idea we started with. The solution to AI slop is to treat your agent's development just like you would a new employee's. You give it a clear job description, you onboard it properly, and you give it constant structured feedback so it can learn and get better. And that feedback isn't just a simple thumbs up or down. We're talking about serious, rigorous evaluations, or evals. You have to define what a job well done actually looks like and then test for it. You measure its success rate, you track how often it makes stuff up, hallucinates. And you can even use another AI to act as a judge on subjective things like, was this helpful? Was it clear? It's literally a performance review for your AI. Okay, so let's say you've done the hard work and now you've got agents you can actually trust. Awesome. The next big hurdle is, how do you scale this across the company without it turning into total chaos? And that's what lessons 4 and 5 are all about. Think about it. If you have hundreds of these agents running complex, multi-step jobs and something goes wrong at the end, how in the world do you figure out where it broke? If you're only looking at the final result, it's just a black box. But this is exactly what so many companies are trying to do, and it's nearly impossible. The answer is to build for observability. It just means you design your system so you can see what's happening at every single step of the process. You build the monitoring right into the workflow. That way, you catch mistakes the second they happen, you know exactly what went wrong, and you can fix it before it snowballs into a huge problem. And the other half of scaling smart is this brilliant little mantra, The best use case is the reuse case. So instead of reinventing the wheel every single time, you don't build a brand new agent for every little task. You look for the common building blocks, the things you do over and over, like ingesting data, searching a database, or summarizing a document. And get this, by creating a central library of these reusable components and validated prompts, companies are cutting out 30 to 50% of their development work. That is a massive savings. It means you can scale what works so much faster. All right, this all brings us to our final and maybe most important lesson, because it tackles the big question, the one that's on everybody's mind when we talk about this technology. Are the robots coming for our jobs? Well, what these real-world projects are showing is that it's just not that simple. It is not a straightforward replacement story at all. In fact, it's much more nuanced. The real goal here isn't replacement, it's collaboration. Humans are still absolutely essential to this whole process. We're the ones who have to oversee the accuracy, ensure compliance, handle all the weird edge cases the AI just can't, and most importantly, apply that real-world judgment and experience where it really counts. And that right there, that's the real secret sauce. It isn't the AI agent itself, it's how well you design the teamwork between people and agents. It means creating user-friendly ways for people to review, approve, and maybe even tweak the agent's work. That is how you build confidence and get real value from the system. So we'll end on this final question. Your organization is already a team of people and tools. As you bring AI agents into that mix, the most critical task is to stop asking, what software should we buy? And start asking, who is thoughtfully designing this new hybrid team for success? Because that, right there, is the whole game.